I research the evolution of our sector, so my ears prick up when I hear someone talking about the evolution of the life sciences industry, or a senior executive saying that something, usually innovation, is in our DNA. I dive into his presentation hoping to learn something new, but most of the time I'm disappointed. You see, evolution is almost always used only as a synonym for change, and DNA is used as a metaphor for habits. Now, this isn't just a semantic frustration for me. By relegating evolution to a mere metaphor, those authors are missing the value in the best idea that anyone's ever had. As usual, I ask you to bear with me a while I explain the management science before I return to the practical implications. Evolution, as you'll recall from your school biology lessons, is a process that occurs in any population of self-replicating entities, for example, a gene pool. It has 3 steps of variation, selection and amplification. And these 3 steps act on a population to change the statistical distribution of its entities. So when a gene pool evolves, we see the emergence of new populations that share the same genes, and we call that new population a new species. That 3-stage mechanism is the reason that evolution, in a scientific sense, differs from mere change over time. But when industry pundits talk about life science companies evolving, they're often not really talking about evolution in the sense that an evolutionary scientist does. And this is important because it means they're not using the enormous explanatory and predictive power of Darwin's brilliant and beautiful idea. So, what does evolution mean when we apply it not to biology but to the life sciences industry? Well, the self-replicating entities analogous to genes are organisational routines, that is, limited but stable sets of activities that allow something to be done. They can range from a routine for complying with a regulatory requirement to one for identifying market segmentation. You have lots of genes in your body, and your company has lots of organisational routines. And just as your genes act by expressing themselves via proteins or switching on or off other genes, organisational routines act by expressing themselves via capabilities, some of which are direct and others which enable other capabilities. And the analogy goes on. Single genes can do very little. They act in concert with many others and they result in the biological structures and processes we see. Organisational routines combine to create your firm's structures and processes. Defective or absent genes or defective or absent organisational routines result in some deficiency in the organism's or the firm's functioning. The ideal genome, or set of organisational routines, varies as the environment changes. And a species is a group of organisms with the same genes. A group of firms with the same organisational routines is a business model. Back to the practicalities and 2 industry examples. Apple, and we're changing how its health kit will protect personal data, and Roche's recent acquisition of Intermune. Both are examples of firms deliberately engineering their own DNA. Apple is developing new organisational routines for the protection of personal data because that's an essential capability in e-health. Roche are acquiring some new organisational routines that will enhance their ability to discover new oncology drugs. Both companies understand that evolution and DNA are not simply metaphors, and that they can and indeed must engineer their own genome.